On this short episode of Imagined Customs, we're going to play around with the F100 again, take a bike ride, and fix this rattly window. Well, I'm going to work on the F100 again. We put the interior in here, and honestly, we've been driving around it. It's pretty much better. It's pretty comfortable seats, not as loud. It's just more enjoyable to drive, so I think we're going to continue on with that thought process. I got door handles, and I got some motor flush. Guys, if you watched the video where we converted this to a 4-barrel, you know that there was a lot of carbon in the motor. When we took it apart, took the intake off, I was like, oh my God, it's really bad. I'm going to try to run motor flush through it. I don't know if it's going to finish this motor off, but I don't know if this thing has a collapsed lifter or what's going on, and I really didn't want to like rip it apart. I just want to kind of drive it. Even if she's kind of clattery, I'm all right with it. Put this on, one screw in the bottom. I don't know how long this is going to stay on there because I had vice grips on this side because we didn't have the handle. And Jess doesn't understand just because you pull on it harder doesn't make the door easier to open, and she destroyed the knurled part on it. So the issue is the door doesn't really fit well in the opening anymore. You know, this truck's been reworked by probably 3 or 4 different people in its day, and it needed to be kind of tapped in here and there because it's rubbing. So now it no longer rubs, and the door opens and closes fairly easy. You can just push, you know, you used to kind of have to put your shoulder into it. I'm hoping that's going to stop Jess from abusing the door handle, and maybe it'll stay on the truck, you know, for more than 5 minutes. All right, so O'Reilly had a sale. Not sponsored by O'Reilly. I don't care where you buy your stuff. So it was VR1 and a K&N filter. I think it was like $31.99 or something like that. And I got Motor Medic motor flush. So this takes 5 minutes. So 3 possible scenarios with this. Maybe this stuff wipes out the bearings. I don't know. Maybe it wipes out what's left of the cam, maybe. Maybe it works well and it has more oil pressure because it's got thicker oil in it, and the zinc saves the day and everybody's great and it doesn't make noise. Or nothing will happen. But either or, it needs an oil change, so we're just going to go at it. And while we got it in the air, I think we're going to swap the wheels and tires over from the 64. I'll explain that to you guys later because we got big plans for the 64. Now, if you look on this thing, what does it contain? Diesel fuel number 2, kerosene, distillates, petroleum, naphthalene, just a thinner, benzene. I mean, this is basically just kerosene and diesel fuel. I mean, that's all this is from what it appears to be, but we're gonna run it because I'd run kerosene. We've actually unlocked a Ford V6 that was seized, that basically it got seized up from oil starvation, and we broke it free with kerosene, and the thing ran forever until I totaled it in a demolition derby. And we're just gonna dump it all in. Now, if you guys watch that video, you know that this motor is just carbon to hell, and I'm not expecting miracles. This thing's huffing oil. This motor's tired, guys. This thing's a 1971 out of a pickup. And I know that because I ran the numbers when I had the starter out. We're giving this all the drip time. It's still dripping out, so it's nice and thin. You know, not what you'd normally want to see, but I guess after you run some diesel and kerosene through it, you know. Is it going to make a difference? I don't know. We'll see. I filled up that whole filter before I put it on there. And we'll let this thing drip because it's thick. She's thick. And I think I got to do something with this alternator. I think this thing's overcharged. We're going to get the meter out. I've never really checked that. All right, so here we go. You guys are going to hear it when I hear it. Hopefully she doesn't rap like Snoop Dogg when I fire it up. We'll see. It's the same. See oil pressure. Well, I mean, it has oil pressure. It's not great, but it has it. Oh, this thing needs a harmonic balancer. Look at that pulley. You guys see that? Oh yeah. That needs a harmonic balancer bad. Maybe that's half the reason. It still runs. The tires on just 64 brand new. The trim rings were new. They were supposed to be stainless, but they're rusting, so Chinese garbage.
Let's say China. China. China.
I got center caps for them, like baby moons. Gonna let them dry. Gonna change them out kind of one by one. A little bit of brake clean takes that off. I had a toenail or something. They were off of eBay. Man, I couldn't get that blue stuff off to save my life. So the Nexans comes right off. So you know that if you get them off Amazon. What I didn't show you that I did, because I was kind of wrapped up in myself, talking to myself, I adjusted the play in the steering box right there. So basically you loosen the nut, then you turn that center shaft, and you don't go crazy. And that's not something that I suggest you do. You can get really hurt. You can get really hurt if you don't know what you're doing. So this thing was, I mean, you could move this wheel, you know, maybe more than a quarter turn, and now it's, you know, that's it right there. I may go more or less, but that's something you do small increments, adjust it more, small increments, adjust it more. The honest answer is that steering box looks like it's original and it's probably just worn out. So we don't want to go too crazy with it. We'll just replace the box if we need to, or, you know, I don't want to do a Crown Vic front end in this one. That's kind of what we're doing with the other one. So we're going to keep this one an I-beam, and we may do some drop beams on it, slam it down. And we're going to do more traditional stuff to this, stuff that, you know, is readily available, stuff you can buy off the shelf. And then the other one, we're going to do full Crown Vic front end and 8.8 from a P71 police car. And we're going to probably do that one on bags. So I'll just show you kind of, it'll take a while for me to get it done. And we're going to take the drivetrain out of that because it smokes like a crop duster. All right, well, the truck sounds like a diesel now because whatever we did made it worse. I think we're gonna have to check all the rocker arms. It doesn't sound like a rod knot because it goes away when you rev it. The last video, I remembered something. I think it's overcharging. So let's try it. 16.0 volts. Yeah, it's overcharging. Maybe it's the alternator that sounds like that. Yeah, 16 volts. This thing needs, it's gonna cook the battery. We need a voltage regulator. If there's anyone out there that has a roller 302 in Connecticut, get at me. managercustoms@gmail.com. I'll buy it from you. That motor's coming apart. So, I mean, I'll drive it till it dies, but we're gonna get a voltage regulator regardless because we can still take it to the dump that, you know, won't go very far. I went to AutoZone to get this Chinese piece of garbage. Every regulator they had was someone had used it. Like, it has dirty fingerprints on it. This one too. This one was the best of the ones they had. Shame on you, AutoZone, honestly. You sell used junk that people return. You shouldn't be returning. You shouldn't take returns on electric items. That's just dumb. You know what I mean? That's just stupid. And guys like me have to go back and forth. Dumb. Anyway, guys, it's super easy to change. There is a ground. Oh, look at this thing. Everything's corroded. All the contacts, everything that moves. We should open it. It's riveted. This thing's just... This is the reproduction of that. It's got a dent here and a dent there, you know, because AutoZone things. I'd prefer not to ever go back to AutoZone, but here we are. Not a fan. Nobody there ever knows what they're talking about. This kid's giving me, I said I need a voltage regulator for a 66 F100. I said I know the part numbers. He goes, no sir, those are out on the floor, like the sale. I'm like, no they're not. What the hell are you talking about? He goes, no, this is, and he's trying to bring me to a tool. I'm like, a voltage regulator. I'm like, why are you arguing with me? I know more than you. Like, don't argue with me. Like, you clearly don't know anything about cars. Fun fact, I managed an auto parts store for 7 years, so I know a little something, you know, about auto parts. All right, let's try that. And we got some STP to dump down the throat because I think this thing's whooped anyway, and all it could do is help. You know, I don't necessarily know how good this stuff is and whether it works or not, but I'll throw it in there. And hopefully, this one's high mileage. Because how many miles does this engine have on it? No one knows, but it's a lot. Let's see what it is with it off. That is 1251. Completely acceptable. Let's try to get it to run. Cold start here. See, you guys see me cold start this. 14.6, 14.7. That's perfect. Perfect. Now, we'll let the STP work its magic in there. If you guys follow us on social media, like Facebook and stuff, you'll know that we went mountain biking yesterday. I wasn't even going to do a video this weekend, and I'm like, yeah, the truck needs a little bit of work here and there, so it might be a little hodgepodge, but I'm going to work on the truck a little bit today because Jess wiped out. She's all bruised up. You can also see that on Facebook. I think what we're going to do is pull the valve cover, or pull both valve covers, and see what the rockers look like, and if there's a sloppy push rod. You know, we got a lot of play. For being a beater, people seem to really like this truck. Everywhere I go, you know, people want to talk about it. So, should probably stop it from ticking. I did find a roller 302 with a T5. The guy doesn't know the history of it. He doesn't even know if it runs. He said it is complete, and it does turn over. That's probably garbage, but maybe I'll grab it and we'll tear it down and just... He wants 450 for the motor. I don't know if I want to be into it for 450 for something that I don't know that runs. But let's pull this valve cover off and take a peek. Now, if you guys remember, this thing was really carboned up. Like really, really bad. So bad that I was like, man, I don't even know if I should continue messing with this thing. It looks like the motor flush started to break it up. Now, is that good or bad? I don't necessarily know. There's nothing that's up and down. I don't know what to do. Pop the other side maybe. We'll pop the other side too. Nothing's loose. I've been bringing it around. All the nuts are down and tight. It doesn't look like it's pulled any studs up. I don't even know if they're studs or bolts, to be honest with you, but these look like they're stepped, you know, so you just crank them down and they're torqued to spec. So it's not like it's, you know, this big adjustment that needs to be made. So I don't, you guys, I don't know. I don't know. It could be in the water pump. Could it be the harmonic balancer kind of clacking back and forth? Maybe. I'm just going to throw it back on and we're just going to throw it back together. Engine sounds worse every time I run it. So I'm assuming it probably is a rod. Going to have to find a motor for this thing. But we're going to keep it because it's registered and insured. So we'll just find a motor and put a motor in it. Let's address this window. I don't have all these components. Sorry about the chainsaw. That's literally, my neighbors have nothing better to do than cut trees literally all day, every day, all weekend. It's crazy. I can't do work on weekends. So this track comes straight, this whole track right here. And basically you're going to pull this whole thing out and you basically bend the new one in. So this thing's basically gone from like here down. So basically you just pry it out like that. You know, and it's got stops and it's got these little bumps, and then you just try to match up the new one. So let's see. I mean, it's pretty close. I assume you should take the track out to do this, but you can't do it like this. So basically in here you have a piece that's like a Y shape, and it has to go into a slot, so you just kind of have to monkey it around. This part of this is bad anyway. I don't have a new one, but I thought I bought some, so maybe. So now, once you kind of line up all your dots, you just kind of force them in to where they go. Okay. Does it even roll up? It does. It's crooked. We got to straighten it out. Guys, the next little trick, ultimately you'd want to disassemble everything, take your tracks out. We're doing really quick videos this weekend. I'm not doing a lot. So if you're missing felts, you don't have felts, but you can buy Velcro, right? Don't buy Velcro at a craft store, you know, like Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Go buy it in bulk. It's way cheaper, and you're not using, you know, the abrasive and the actually lock end of it. You're only going to use this end of it. All you're going to do is invert it and kind of jam it in there, and you're going to try to get it as far past the window, and then you're going to bring the window all the way up and do it at the bottom. Ultimately, you would want this entire track out, lay it out nice and straight. I did this on the other truck, on the red truck, and it came out pretty good, but the honest answer is, now that this thing probably has a motor knock, how much longer am I driving it before I have to take it back apart? And I really don't want to take it apart. I mean, something's better than nothing, right? So do we even care on my truck if it's perfect? No, we don't. You know, I just want it to stop rattling. And they make an entire kit. You can buy what's called an anti-rattle window kit for Fords. Don't necessarily know if I'd spend the money on this truck because it's not a nice truck, but if you have, you know, something that you're restoring, then you might want to do that. And you get your handy dandy screwdriver, you get it in there as far as you can. And use a screwdriver to kind of spread the edges, you know, spread your business. This is not something that I devised. I've seen people do this. So if you don't like it, you can blame me or blame them or blame everyone. And the other answer is you don't have to do this. You could do it right and buy the parts, you know. I'm not doing that because they're expensive and this truck's a piece of garbage. See, everyone seems to like this truck everywhere I go with it though. They're like, wow, it's so cool. I'm like, really? It's a piece of junk. Since I did it in two pieces, I got to finish the rest of the track underneath it. So I basically got to go up with the window. At least it has some resistance now, it never did before. And then I got to put a piece in here on the bottom. So I'm going to scrape this out and get back to you. Start it up top, run the screwdriver down it, and then it should stay in place. You know, not looking for perfection. So I'm going to go razor blade and we're going to trim it up. And that's going to be it for that. And, you know, the window's not going to rattle. You basically start an edge you can get to, and then you just work it down along the stainless, and then you just tuck in the rest. So basically, kind of looks like a felt, and it's just Velcro. Little tip, but do it right. Take it all apart. Take the tracks out. Lay them out on your bench. Push them all in there. Don't rush like me. I started editing this video and it's really loud on camera, like that the tapping or knocking. It's not really a knock. I'm thinking it could be almost anything. When you listen to it in person, it's not as predominant as it is on the video. The video makes it sound like a rod knock. It does not sound like that. I'm not sure why the camera picks it up like that. Jess and I just took it out. Sounds good. Rev's fine. It's different. You come to a stop sign, it's there. You come to another stop sign, it's gone. I'm thinking maybe the converter bolts are loose, or it's got to be something else. I don't think it's a rod knock. You know, do the normal stuff, like and subscribe. We got a Buy Us Coffee link if you like the content. It's a way to support the channel. We got a bunch of stuff coming up. We're going to be doing a lot more modification to Jess's 64 than we'd ever do to this thing, so stay tuned for that. We're going to get back on the International. We're going to get that bed on there. That's super cool. And we're going to tear apart the 5.3 in my black Silverado. You guys watch me do it, and if I can do it, you absolutely can do it. So thanks for watching.